So when I found out she was leaving, I started like making more friends.
There's always a Sharmaji Kaveta because there is one.
Just being proud of your culture. Obviously, we're living in a very globalized world. And that goes on to say that to keep connections, the most important way is to be online, right? It could be through social media, through chats. But do you feel overwhelmed by it at any point in time?
I have Instagram, but I don't use it. Right. And I've been like trolled on so many times for it. Everyone's just like, oh my god, why don't you use Insta? You should use Insta.
So you've been trolled for not using
Insta. Okay. But I still don't use it because I don't care. So I was on Twitter for like a very long time, and it was so horrible. Like, it was such a horrible experience. I was fine with it for like the first few months, and then like it just started messing with my head, because stuff on social media is like, obviously as like a girl on social media, there is like some sense of you need to look good, you need to like act and behave good.
So you feel that pressure?
I do. Okay. I think, but like on Twitter, it was more of a, like, I think it was more of a...
You need to think smart.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I think I was forced to get really political at a very young age. Like, I would think that when I was 14, I was like rampant on Twitter, and like there was just so many perspectives, so many things that were thrown at me, that at that age when you're like so young and you don't really care, you're being forced to like come up with a political opinion, otherwise people are going to think you're rude or like hurtful or mean. I genuinely fell into that whole rabbit hole, and in fact like that's the main reason I deleted it, because I hated that.
I think it's got to do with your own personality, that you have that strength of not going on it. You don't want to follow in the trend which is being followed. But I think that ratio is very less. There are very few people who would be able to kind of go and say that, you know what, I don't care. Yeah, you're trolling me, I don't care, I don't want to be there. I'm just thinking about, there are a lot of girls who do want to be there. It's just your age factor, that you want to be there, you want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to be liked. All those emotions are there inside you, and it's just pushing you to be there. So what do you think is the way of dealing with that? And can parents interfere in any way?
Earlier, like if I would post something on my story, example a reel, so I'd repost that reel on my story. So I'd feel like, oh, people would judge me for this. But now I just post like 10, 11 reels. I don't care anymore. I just post it on my story. Most of them are philosophical. And at the start, a lot of people would be like, bro, why are you posting this stuff? But then I just kept doing that, and I kept doing that, right? So people got comfortable with it. So yeah. I didn't limit myself. Right. I just let people know that this is me.
So you don't need to change. You need to let people change.
I think that's, you said it amazingly. People.
Okay, so one question I want to know. I have an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old, right? Who's going to be soon 12 and 8. But as the age you are in, what suggestion do you have for me as a parent? Maybe you start, Bhavya, because you're closer to that.
Okay, so for your 12-year-old, I think you should like give him like space,
right?
But you shouldn't just like isolate him like completely. You should still be like there for him, like if he needs help or like he wants someone to talk to. You should be there, but you shouldn't always be like, oh, what you doing? Oh, what's this? Oh, can I join? Oh, can like always prying, because that's gonna be, he's not gonna tell you anything.
Yeah, you're right.
And just being kind, and like if your kid is going through stuff, just be there for them, and just let them know that you're there. And also don't bully your kid in a funny way. Like a lot of parents, when their kid is like going through like the teenu stage, where they're not tween, you know, so they say, oh, your teenage tantrums are starting, oh my god, I mean it's funny, but for the kid gets frustrated sometimes, and they get irritated, and then they'd say something mean to you.
I would also say, like, I know this is going to be really hard, but try being as patient as you can, because I mean, I do a lot of things that I realize are just really mean, but I realize really later on, like, so I wake up one morning and I'm like irritated, I didn't get good sleep. So my mom tells me to go eat breakfast. I'm like, no, I will not eat breakfast. I'll just have a coffee. I'll skip breakfast today just for the sake of arguing. And I'm aware I do that, and I do that very often. Okay, like it's really annoying for my mom. But I think that like that is just how I am right now. I probably grow out of it. And I do tell my mom that. Like, I'm just like, okay, I'm sorry that I was acting like super moody today. It's just something that I was facing. You know, just kind of whenever a person or whenever a teenager is kind of irritated, just let them be for a bit. They'll probably figure it out on their own.
Yeah.
I don't think maybe at like 14 I would ever like reconsider my actions, but as you kind of grow older, you're probably thinking about how mean you are being to your parents either ways, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great point.
And I'd say since you have 2 children, just make sure that you don't ever attach a label to either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call one of them the academic one and the other one the one who likes all the, you know, swimming or kayaking or whatever, you know.
Right.
I've seen people do that to a lot of siblings, and later on the other sibling actually becomes the opposite, like, you know, and it kind of like it's in their face, because they would always call one of them the perfect one, the academic one, and the nerdy one, and that would just become an excuse for them to like not socialize or, you know, to be in their room all the time.
Yeah, right. True. Yeah.
I think like one more thing I can possibly think of would be try not being too mean to your kids. Like, I know that like as like parents, it's important to be critical to your own kids because they probably don't know what they're doing like most of the time. But like I think there are moments where I am obviously feeling worse about myself than like what you tell me. So like, for example, if I'm like having an argument with you and I know I'm losing, you can like, my dad does this thing where he just like, oh, you're so stubborn, you're so illogical, I don't want to talk to you, you know. And I think at that point I know that I'm being illogical,
but you don't want to be told.
But I don't want to be told that, because it's not something that is just within that conversation. It makes me think that I'm illogical in general. And I think negative things, like you said, like it sticks more than positive things.
Yeah.
So don't insult your kid.
All right. After getting all the gyan from you guys, how to be parenting my kids, I want one thing now. Tell me about the coolest trend going on in your respective age groups.
Grinding, studying. It's like, no, but like it's crazy because of how focused all the teenagers in my life are. Like they're like the coolest. They're like cooler than some adults I know. Like they're doing so much for their future. I think that's really cool.
Wow, that's amazing. Ira.
One of the trends was, well, now it's died down a bit, thankfully, but there was this guy named Andrew Tate, right? So all the young boys we'd see like in school, they'd be playing chess.
Okay.
And if you watch the earlier high school movies, you'd see that all of the dorks and all the nerds used to play chess, right? So it was kind of looked down upon. And then suddenly this guy comes and he's like, what color is your Bugatti, right? And so all the young guys, now they're playing chess and it's cool. So they would go onto this online platform, chess.com, and they'd, you know, show each other their ranking, and then they'd play against each other during class. It was so annoying to see at some point. It became so annoying because they would shout randomly and they'd be like, oh, you think this, ha ha ha, oh, you're trying to play, ha ha. So, you know, they were all trying to be cool.
Okay.
And the biggest trend that this Andrew Tate guy supports is direct misogyny. And the way they like downplay it, and like if you'd say that, you know, he's a misogynist, like, because all of his points are basically like to just uplift men and to basically just say that women are like just there, like, you know, they're just for household work. But, you know, he frames it in a way that you can't directly pinpoint one fact. And so some of his points are valid and some of them are just downright invalid. Okay. You know? Yeah. So he's quite a very controversial figure right now. Okay. Big trend.
Flavia.
See, for us right now, it's like being cool is like being like up to date with like what's trending or whatever's like happening right now. So like right now, if you like at some point like a few years ago, it was like if you have a Hydro Flask or if you're like a Visco girl, oh my god, that was like the main thing. Like if you're a Visco girl, you're cool. You're like automatically like that. Now it's like if you have air up bottles, which is like this bottles that are really, really cool. That? So it's like really cool bottles that have like a thing on top that has like a flavor, and when you drink the water it smells like the flavor, and it's so nice.
Really?
It's
What is
amazing.
it called? Sorry?
It's called Air Up.
Okay.
And like Van Cleef necklaces.
Oh,
Oh my god. If you have a Van Cleef necklace, you're and it's like and there's like one pattern that's like automatically like the most common, the most popular. So if you look and someone's wearing it in school, they're like, oh wow, this person has that, and that's like fancy. That's like really like trendy and cool. It's like whoa.
And also Lululemon.
Oh
Lululemon and the Dior lip oil.
Oh my god. And what about something which is so not cool?
I think probably just
Fast food.
fast food's not cool.
I don't know.
No, but for us, every day, like when other person's ordering, like in school.
Oh yeah.
Times.
Vaping.
Vaping, I agree.
Vaping
is
is
so
not
lame.
cool. The cool kids would vape, but that makes them uncool in the sense like it's not a cool thing to do, and most of the kids know that.
Yeah, right. Okay, great. Thank you so much. It was one of my favorite conversations, really. It was great talking to each one of you, getting a perspective from, 3 different age groups of a teenager. I know I have taken a lot in. I know I'm going to be slightly better as a parent from today, and I hope everybody else who's listening is as well. So yeah, thank you, each one of you, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.